Welcome to the Big 12 women's basketball tip-off of the 2019-20 season. We're at Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City, home for the Big 12 Women's Championship for the next 5 years. There we go. I'm on in the arena now. Mark your calendars, March 12th through 15th, 2020. But right now we're at the beginning of the season at the tip-off. I'm Brenda Van Lingen, and I'm joined by coaches and players throughout the conference. We have different players and coaches represented from different schools. We've already had a couple of our roundtables earlier today, and we have 2 more. And so I'm joined by Lauren Cox, senior at Baylor on the end, Brandon Schneider, the head coach at the University of Kansas, Angela Harris, newcomer to the conference at Kansas State, and Vivian Gray at Oklahoma State, and Karen Aston, the head coach at the University of Texas. So glad you all could join us. Welcome to Kansas City. Glad you're here. Let's just get started off with a lot of fans that are watching today online on the Big 12 Now network. Haven't seen you since last March or April, and so I want to know what's been going on in your off season. So I'm going to start with you, Lauren. Take us through what you have been doing individually, and as you're celebrating a national championship, your off season might have been a little bit different and recovering from your injury than the others. But what have you been doing in the off season, and what has your team been doing in the off season?
Well, luckily, I didn't have to have surgery, so it was only about a month of rehab, just strengthening my core, my hamstrings, my quads. And then I was back practicing, playing pickup in the middle of the summer, and we did a lot of weight training that summer. We played pickup, just trying to get the new people incorporated with our team, get that same team chemistry back that we had last year.
Brandon?
Well, we have 7 new players, so I think we spent a lot of time teaching. We're fortunate now to be able to spend a little bit more time with them in the summer, so a lot of teaching, a lot of development. You know, I'm sure, as Lauren said, with any team, regardless of the makeup of returners and newcomers, is trying to establish an identity and some chemistry.
And Angela, in making the transition from the University of Houston to Kansas State, where did you spend the off season? When did you make it to Manhattan, and how did you spend your time?
Well, I spent the off season at home in Houston. I didn't actually graduate from Houston until August 15th. So my first day in Manhattan wasn't until the first day of school. So all summer I was in the gym just working on my shot, because last year I didn't shoot the ball at my standards. So yeah, just working on my shot all summer. Of course, coordinating workouts with Coach Mitty and Coach Carr, who's my position coach, and doing those workouts to get ready for the season.
And then your team, since you didn't get there until school started, what work did you do with your team in the off season?
Oh, you know, just like I said, same thing, corresponding with them. You know, trying to get that chemistry going since I'm not there on campus. You know, getting to know them better, getting to know what they like, and you know, just who they are as a person. Because first, you want to get to know your teammates before you get there. So yeah, that was what I had to do this summer, just get to know them.
Gotcha. Vivian?
This offseason, I personally worked a lot on my three-point shot. I felt like my mid-range game last year was pretty good, but I didn't like how I shot the ball from outside, so I wanted to work on that. And as a team, we have a lot of new players this year, so coming in and really learning how we want our defense to be played and going over plays and how we need to play as a team and getting to know each other and working on our chemistry was really important.
And you also had a trip in the offseason, didn't you, with your team? No? No team. Okay, all right. That was a trick question. And getting together with your team, and you know how important it is in the offseason for that chemistry piece too. What did your team do in the offseason?
Yeah, we took a little bit of a different approach this summer. Part of it was because we did have players that were late arrivals to our team from overseas, and then we had a freshman that was here with us first session, and then she went with USA Basketball in second. So we didn't really have the whole team here the entire summer. So I took a little bit of a different approach for that reason, and another reason, which is I thought that we really needed to get some skill work in. It's a long year. I think sometimes as coaches we think we have to be doing things just because the rules allow us to do them, and sort of take a step back sometimes and say, okay, what's best for the players? And we spent a lot of time really individually working with the position coaches, and I thought it was very productive. And then when it was time to get together as a group, they seemed a little bit more in tune. We worked on leadership a lot. I thought that was one thing that our team lacked last year. top to bottom was just some cohesiveness and some leadership. So we did a lot of conversating about that, just how we can be a better basketball team, how can we represent Texas better, and I think it was really productive.
Well, last year didn't help. You graduated two great players in Brooke McCarty and Ariel Atkins, who won a WNBA championship this year. Yeah. And then you had LaShawn Higgs go down with the injury, one of your leaders. So, cultivating that leadership, such an important part of it. As I go back now down the line with all of you, people are interested in what are your teams going to look like this year. So as you think about the parts and pieces of your team that are back and what you're expecting, kind of just describe maybe style of play that you're expecting and what you're expecting from your team this year.
Yeah, I'm just expecting us to be more competitive. It's really as simple as that. It's such a competitive league, and if you don't lace them up every night that you walk into an arena in the Big 12, you're in trouble. And that's the conversations we're having a lot. With our particular team right now, we do have some players returning from injury. We'll look a little bit different when we start than I think we will in a couple of months because we've had some out. Our numbers are small. So I think the cohesiveness and the chemistry will look a lot different with this group this year. I mean, they kind of know their backs are to the wall, and I think when young people know that, they start to lean on each other a little bit more. The cohesiveness, the circle gets tighter. All of those things start to happen. So it's been a fun group. I think we'll look more cohesive. I think we'll look like a Texas team that can run a little bit. As a coach, I'm having to be a little smarter about how we do things just because our numbers are low. But I'm very pleased with where we are, and I think as we move along, we'll look a little bit more like a Texas team.
All right. And I'm sorry to throw that crazy question at you. I was thinking ahead. You are going to St. Thomas, to the Virgin Islands over Thanksgiving this year. That's what I had in my head. So tell us what you are expecting for your team to look like this year.
This year, I'm expecting a faster pace. We're a lot more athletic. We're long, we're tall, we're big, we're fast. I'm expecting us to run more and play faster.
All right. We're looking forward to that. Angela, I know you're just getting to know your team as you've gotten to know your teammates and the coaching staff. What do you think the expectations are for Kansas State this year? And we just had Jeff Mitty in the last session. Peyton Williams is a two-sport athlete playing volleyball, so she's not even really practicing with your team yet. That adds another element, too.
First off, Peyton is a tremendous player. She's probably one of the best players I've ever played with. But the expectations for us, of course, is to make the tournament, but not to just make it, to win games there. So that is our ultimate goal right now, and that's what we've been working towards these past few months. It's just, to get better, get faster, get the ball out, offer rebounds, and play faster. We've added a post in Yoki Lee, who I think is going to be a very good player for us. Now, she's just a freshman, but I think she's going to be a very good player. She's already got the offense down. She gets up the floor quickly, and I think she'll be a great duo with Peyton Williams.
Awesome. Thank you. Brandon.
With our young team, I think for me it's important that we play as connected as we can, as fast as we can, and that's early in the year, we need every practice. We need both exhibition games. We need 11 non-conference games to make progress towards that every single day. I don't know that we have, one person that we're going to run offense through. So it's going to be really important that offensively and defensively that we play as connected as we can.
And as you build on a defending national champion team, it's going to look different. No Kalani Brown on this team or Chloe Jackson, but what are your expectations for the team this year, and how is Baylor going to look?
We've been able to move a lot quicker this year because we have 3 new players, but 2 of them are grad transfers who have been through college. They've experienced the college game, and we only have 1 freshman, and she's picked up really quickly. We've been able to move through drills, teach offenses, all that, and I think we're going to be able to get up and down the floor a lot quicker this year. We have some really athletic posts that can run and get down the floor.
I'm not at all excited to hear that, by the way.
Right? Anybody else excited to hear that? Not so much. Lauren, though, everybody is excited, even if they have to play against you, that you are back. watching you in that national championship game going down with that injury. We didn't know if you would be back this season or not. Can you describe the emotions in that game when you and the team were playing so well? You had built up such a big lead against Notre Dame, and then you went down with the injury, and then coming back to the court and being there with your teammates. Take us through that, and then the news that you were going to be able to recover quickly and return this year.
I think anyone that was watching the game just immediately thought the worst, and that's what I thought as well, just the pain that I was in. And then seeing the replay, I just immediately thought my ACL was torn. I was going to have to get surgery. I was going to have to sit out a year, go through all the rehab and everything. So that was the only thing that was kind of going through my mind. And then going back into the locker room, the doctors, trainers were checking me out and everything. And the game was actually playing back there, and they were trying to not let me see it because Notre Dame was starting to come back, starting to break down the lead, and I ended up seeing it. I knew I had to get back out there because I knew my team was worried about me, and I just needed to show them that I was okay. I needed to get back into that huddle because I'm one of the leaders of this team. I needed to have my voice be known. And so just getting back out there, I think that was really important just so that they could see that I was okay. And then after the game, it was a dream come true. It was bittersweet because I was hurt, but it was definitely a dream come true. And then getting that news, it was just a huge relief. It was a lot of prayers answered.
And so how much rehab did you have to go through to get back to 100%?
It was about a month long, I think, so it wasn't much. I gradually got back out onto the court, started running, jumping again, and it was kind of weird coming back out just because I hadn't ran or jumped or anything for so long. It just felt like I was running on someone else's legs, and it took me a while to kind of get back into it.
Well, we're sure glad that you're back and that you're healthy, and one of the lead candidates for National Player of the Year as well. We're excited to watch you this season for sure. As we shift gears a little bit and just think about being here at Municipal Auditorium, Brandon, you were a part of the Emporia State and led them to a national championship at the Division II level. They were a part of the MIAA, and you actually played your MIAA conference championships here. How do you feel about the Big 12 championship being in Municipal Auditorium?
Well, I couldn't be more excited to have the tournament, back in Kansas City. I think playing it in conjunction with the men's tournament, I think there's just going to be a ton of juice and a ton of electricity, in the surrounding area. I know that the fan bases will all travel well. But when we played our tournament here, in my time in the MIAA, we had great support, and we had fantastic games that were played here. I think some have already spoke about the history of this building and so many of the great players that have participated here. I think it's really, really going to be a charged up weekend.
Kansas City is excited about hosting it, but just for those of you that don't know some of the history, and you may not know this name, so go Google it if you have to afterwards, but John Wooden actually won his first national title right here in this building. Wilt Chamberlain won his first national championship right here in this building, so a lot of history in Municipal Auditorium. Angela, I wanted to ask you about the fact that I've got numbers. I'm going to have to read it here, but you're actually the only, I don't know if you know this or not, the only Division I player entering the season with over 1,000 points, over 185 made three-pointers, over 200 rebounds, over 200 assists, and over 200 steals. You're the only one in the country. So you didn't know that? There you go. That's pretty cool. So with the experience that you had at the University of Houston before transferring here, what kind of confidence does that give you as you come to play for Kansas State in the Big 12 Conference?
I don't think it's necessarily confidence. I've played college basketball, so I think it's just I want to come here because I want to play at a Power 5 level. So I think it's just reassurance maybe, because I have done what I've done at Houston. So it's just reassurance that I can play this game at a high level.
All right. We're glad you're here. Vivian, you had such a productive season last year. You made that transition from Fort Lewis College, where you're Division II, and then you were able to make the jump to Oklahoma State and still have good success scoring the basketball. What do you think that it was that helped you to make that transition? And then you mentioned earlier you've been working on your three-point shot. What other things have you been working on to improve your game?
Well, to improve my game, I wanted to improve my off-ball defense. My on-ball defense is, it's okay, but I wanted to work on my off-ball, being help side more for my teammates and be able to help them out a little bit more. And making my transition from Division II to Division I, at first it was really difficult. The style of the play is a lot different, and my first couple games here, that showed. But I think the biggest difference was playing against players who are equal as talented as you, more athletic than you, and you really have to play smart, and you have to know what's going on and not get hurried. That was the big thing for me, and that's another thing I've worked on in my offseason is not rushing everything, just slowing down and playing the game as it comes.
Yeah, that's a big part of it as people transition, whether you're transferring or whether you come in as a freshman. That's a big part of it. Karen, you get LaShawn Higgs back from injury this year. Joyner Holmes is finally going to be able to start a season where she hasn't in either her sophomore or junior years, right? Knock, 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 sorry. What are your expectations for those two as leaders of this team?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, I saw you laugh. You know who John Wooden is, right? Okay. You were laughing like surely she doesn't think we don't know who that is.
So I just want to make sure.
I think the ironic thing is all of them are Texans. Isn't that interesting?
There you go. How about that? Yes.
Right?
All of them.
Yeah.
Brandon is included.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm the only one that's not.
No.
I think I've lived here long enough, though. In
Yeah,
Texas.
I think you're a Texan now.
I'm a adopted one. Okay, back to the question. LaShawn Higgs and Joyner, I think the thing that has been the most noticeable about this group is that the four seniors they've played 4 years at Texas. I think that does matter. Because they start to take a lot of ownership in their senior year. And LaShawn's just excited to be back. I mean, it was heartbreaking to see her go down last year. She was so prepared for her senior year. And just to see her back on the court has been inspiring, I think, to all of us. She's such a great kid, and she loves the game so much. And then on the flip side of that, just, again, to have Joyner start the season with us has been an amazing thing. And this is, again, knock on wood here. This is about the time Joyner got hurt last year.
Right.
And she was in a great place, had really put in a great summer, and she's done the same thing this summer. I think the difference is I think these guys that are seniors can say the same thing. There's a different feeling when you know this is it, and you just have a few months left in your career, and your thought process that you wake up every day with as a senior are different. And I have 4 of those that they want Texas to have a good year, and they want to have a good year, and I think you can just see the difference in their leadership.
So let's go to the other end of the spectrum. You have a very special newcomer coming in Celeste Taylor. You described her when we talked in the offseason as just a really special player. What is it about her that makes her so special?
You know, it's funny. I did tell you that in the offseason, and at the time, I don't know that I knew how special she was until she got on campus. And some players, all these I can describe as the same thing. They just have what you call it. And you know it when you see it. And Celeste has that. I mean, she shows up every day ready to work. And there's no highs and lows with her, and that's really unusual for a freshman. Most of the time they're just trying to breathe. They can't pay attention because they can't breathe, and she's about as well put together as far as being able to just show up every day and try to do her job and be coached and be responsible. That's alongside the fact that she's very talented, but I think the most impressive thing to me is just how she shows up every day ready to do her job.
And we're looking forward to seeing her play. Vivian, you grew up on a farm, correct? How did that impact your work ethic?
Okay, I'm telling an embarrassing story. I used to, for fun, my sister and I would go out and wrestle our goats. So
it's true. It's a true story.
So I think that kind of made me tougher because, you know, they hit you with their horns and it hurts. But So I just did that for fun, and I always liked to be outside and just have fun and play with the animals and stuff. So, yeah.
So comparing wrestling goats and, playing in the Big 12 conference, is there any comparison there?
I wouldn't say there's a comparison.
Oh, okay.
You got to be tough for both.
Gotcha. All right. There you go. There's the line. Excellent. Angela, when you've played, against teams like UConn, and you've played tough competition, you said you wanted to play in a Power 5 conference. What is it that you expect as you come to be a part of the K-State roster this year?
Just for it to be a dogfight every night, no matter who you play. So, yeah, that's really what I'm expecting. And, just as a team, we can't take plays off. We already know that. We have a good group of practice guys and can't take plays off against them. So hopefully, when we get to conference play, it's just like that, and we'll be prepared for it.
All right. Looking forward to it. I'll get to see a game in November of yours. Looking forward to coming over to see that. Brandon, your father, Bob, had such an impact on your life, had such success at West Texas A&M. What advice has he given you recently?
I think recently would be obviously with young players, coach and teach every day. And, when you have a lot of new people coming in, regardless of the type of situations that they're coming from, I think you have to assume that they don't know anything. So we've really started from scratch with young players, even just on fundamental footwork, how to pass, how to catch, all those things that maybe a lot of us grew up doing in camp, I think would be the things that he reinforces to me all the time.
And Lauren, we're going to wrap up with you. We've just got about a minute left or so. Everybody, a lot of people that follow the Big 12 know that you play with type 1 diabetes and what you've had to do to manage that. I want to take a little different slant on that. Both your parents played college basketball. So what did you learn from them and their experiences that have helped you to be tough, have helped you to manage your diabetes, all of those things?
They've always been my biggest supporters from day one. As soon as I could walk, I think they had a ball in my hand, whether it was a basketball, volleyball, whether I was kicking around a soccer ball. And they've taught me how to be competitive. I have 3 younger sisters, and our whole family is competitive. Whether it's outside playing basketball, playing a board game, whatever it is, all of us want to win. And I think that's really helped me in basketball and in life.
All right. Well, that's a good note to end on. And the fact that your mom's name is Brenda, I always like that as well. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining. I know you have a lot of activities going on here at Media Day, so thank you. And we will see you back here in Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City in March. Thanks so much.